What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Perspective podcast. We're here to discuss travel, culture, just being able to love on people as best as we can. This is Josue. I'm here with Chase and Grayson. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Right, you guys doing good?
Yeah,
Glad
man.
to be here.
Yeah.
God's doing some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the future.
Another Wednesday here in Texas. It's cold outside, isn't it?
Middle of the week, man. Just trying to get through it.
Yeah.
The only way to tell Texas weather is walking out and seeing what the day's like. There's no way you can forecast it.
It really is. Like sometimes I look at the weather thing, and then I walk outside. I'm like, I feel like I just got lied to.
Just
So
just ready for summer when consistently it's going to be 95 to 100 every day.
it really is. I mean, that's the one thing you can count on.
Yeah.
Summertime just being consistent. But enough about Texas. Today we're here to discuss who we are as an organization, just to share a little about the calling that we feel that we've been given. And it's just crazy to think that we're finally here, recording this first podcast.
Been about a year.
I know. After all the discussions we finally had, and now we're finally here, just putting it all together. It's great to think about how God, like you mentioned earlier, can orchestrate things.
Exactly. And all of us, growing up in different areas, and the fact that we're all here at this present moment talking about this is crazy. And just how God's planned that the whole time, and I'm just excited to see just what He has planned and how we can honor Him in that.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like today we're really just here to just talk about the purpose of the organization, the role a lot of us have in it, the structure of it, and just who we are. It's good to inform people of who we are, and just I think a podcast is a great way because we're able to have dialogue with each other, share the vision. Better than just someone just reading everything. They're able to put a voice, a face behind the people who are behind an organization. So that's always good. I would say. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's something about conversation where you can really just come to a further understanding of truth.
Yeah.
And being able to bring together multiple perspectives to talk about this idea that God's given all of us.
Yeah.
And it's something where not a single one of us can do it together.
For sure.
And so being able to talk about the different angles that we're approaching this from in a platform and in a conversation is something that can really just further our ability to fulfill this purpose that we've been given.
No, I would agree with that like 100% because the name of the organization's perspectives, right? Yeah. We want to be able to give perspectives because as people, as believers, just people in general, everyone has a story. Yeah. And I think it's always great whenever you give everyone an opportunity to share who they are, where they come from and how you can utilize everything,
Exactly. And how God in your past gives you little moments that prepare you for what you're doing in the present moment, and how in that time you were sitting there and you might have been even asking God, like, why are we going through this right now? This doesn't seem fair, and it's something that either God was testing you to make sure that you're faithful to your following of Him, or something that's preparing you for something greater in the future. And so it's great to be able to just to reflect on all of that, because that's assuring and confidence building in the present moment,
right? And
it's something that that can really just continue that momentum just for the future and just
for
God
sure.
has planned.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's wondering, okay, who are these people talking? So I think it would be good for us to at least introduce ourselves, those of us that are here. I think it's good to know this is not everyone within the organization. Yeah. This is just the three of us today. And
Grayson, do you want to go first, man?
Yeah. So my name is Grayson Husky. I live in Austin, Texas. I I am the director of marketing and advertising for a company called the Texas Deer Association. And one of my main role here in Perspectives is just to try to help in any way I can as far as the marketing and advertising, and really trying to help us get revenue in the door, and a lot of fundraising and things like that. I grew up down in South Texas in a really small town, and met Chase and everyone through college, and we just, like I said, kind of had this vision, and really want to be able to help it grow, and to really help share the love of Christ to others and people around the world. And so I would say that that's kind of the main mission here, and one of the things that we really want to focus on.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
You want to go next?
Yeah, man.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
So my name's Chase Brown. I am the president of the organization, and I would say just kind of my main role that I feel God's put on my heart for this organization is really just being able to build relationships with these partners that we're working with, whether it's local partners in the Texas area, or whether it's international partners. In building relationships with the people around the world. Like, it was something that God really put this organization and this calling on my life, and it's something that He really gave me a passion for. And whether it was travels to France or Costa Rica or Peru, and some that we have coming up, it's something where I just was really given a desire and a passion to build the relationships and see how we can serve those partners. And so I'm excited to continue just to network and build off the network that God's given us so far, and just to see with the resources, the platform, and the desires that we've been given, just how we can serve those people, and as well just trying to just motivate the people within the organization, and put them in positions to be successful, and to fulfill that purpose and calling that God's given them, because this organization is more than just one person or two people. It's a lot of people. That's the reason for Perspectives. It's something where to truly grasp what God has called you to, it's something that you won't be able to do it alone. God uses fellowship.
Yeah.
God uses different resources, different organizations to allow you to gain a further insight on His plan for your life.
Yeah.
And really being able to reassure that within everyone within the organization, and just encourage that fellowship and this striving towards what God's given us.
No, I would definitely agree with that. I feel like earlier I mentioned Perspectives. My name is Josue. If you guys did figure that part out, I was the last person. I am actually from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Represented. Been here for I've been in America for about 17 years now. So I feel like I have a different perspective because of where I'm from. Just coming from Africa, just coming to America, learning the language, learning the culture, the food, all these different things. It's completely different from how I grew up, in the sense of when I was born over there, and then coming here was I don't even know if a 360 is the word for it. It was probably like 720
more
or something.
than that.
Yeah.
Complete life change.
Yeah, it didn't even make sense, because I remember just being able to see people that look differently than me when I landed here. It was just, it didn't make sense to me, and being a child,
you didn't know how to.
I didn't really know how to process everything. I was just, okay, I'm just gonna go with the flow.
Exactly.
And then coming to America, a place that's just so filled with culture, because it's a melting pot, and just having friends from all over the world pretty much here in this place. I feel like it's really given me a good perspective, and I am the podcast coordinator as well as local service events. And so you'll be hearing from us a lot. So hopefully, kind of get used to our voices. Which would be a good thing. I grew up in a Christian home. Both of my parents are actually pastors. I am one out of 12 kids, so I have 11 siblings. As you can imagine, that's a lot of kids. In America, everyone has like 2.5 kids, right? And so whatever I share about my siblings, I usually
get some stares or some open jaws.
Stares. People don't know how to respond. It's like from the same parents. You just get a whole bunch of different things. So I'm used to that. But I grew up in a Christian home. Moving to America was definitely a life-changing event for me, like I mentioned, and just trying my best to keep that rich culture that I have from back home, the Congolese culture. I know a lot of people say Congonian, which is not the word, it's Congolese. Yes. I think it's good to, I think it's just great learning about different people.
Exactly.
Learning about different cultures. Like I said, I have friends from all over the world pretty much, and I love the fact that we're all so different.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's always one thing that brings us all together.
Exactly.
And I love that fact. And I just feel like today is a great opportunity to share and learn about the organization, the story.
And it was something whenever God kind of gave a few of us the idea for the organization, and we really felt the calling for it. Like me, I mean, just like you and Grayson, I mean, I grew up in a Christian home as well, but I've lived in the DFW area my whole life. And so for me, I kind of felt the culture that I was exposed to all through childhood and young adulthood was very consistent. And it was something where I didn't really understand other cultures or why my culture was unique.
Yeah.
Or had a wide understanding of the world. And so it was something that, like in meeting you a handful of years ago, and after God giving us this idea, was something where, like, just the benefit of having you in a part of the organization,
for sure,
to be able to bring that different perspective, from what most of us have had, has been great. And you've been able to bring so much insight so far, and getting this organization started up.
Yeah.
And really getting this organization and the model that God's given us set up. So man.
To me, it's really it's an honor whenever you are able to get involved in something like this. Whenever someone asks you to be a part of something like this, you're like, are you serious?
Yeah.
And it's honestly God's faithfulness, right? Because we're all able to bring different things to the organization, different roles, and just, being able to see that is just really amazing. So how would you say, like, what's a story of perspective? Like, someone was to come to you and ask, what's the story of perspective? What would you say, in your own words, in your own words?
Yeah.
Well, kind of one of the things that I usually say, just perfect example, I was talking to my grandmother the other day, actually, and I was just kind of telling her about what was going on. She was like, "What is perspective?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Just give us money, Grandma, please." But no, I was talking to her, and I was just telling her. So my whole thing with the way I kind of see the organization is, we're here to help provide an opportunity for people and kids or young adults, whoever it may be, the opportunity to be able to travel and to really network and to meet new people and to see new perspectives and see how different people in throughout the world live and what their culture is like. And just it's really humbling, and education. You just learn so much when you get to travel to another part of the world. I mean, even parts of the United States, different people are. I mean, there's people all over the place, and all kind of have
different lifestyles,
and things like that. But and then I would say one of the things that really, like I was telling her, that why this is kind of a very important thing in my life is because I remember a time that I was wanting to go to Africa back in the day and when I was in high school, but it was extremely expensive, and there was some other complications too. But just being able to be here and help provide that opportunity for students and young adults who might not necessarily be able to have the blessing that we do and get to travel and stuff like that. So
exactly. And it's been something where for me, I think I would say, as far as the story of it is, it's really inspired and comes from all of our opportunities and experiences to travel the world and experience different cultures, whether it was living in those cultures for an extended period of time, or whether it was traveling there for anywhere from a week to a couple months. Like me, I've had the opportunity to travel my whole life, from kind of middle school years until high school. My dad worked half the year over in Paris, France.
Wow.
And so for me, that was something to where being able to travel over there, from a young age, being able to experience different cultures and understanding, there's different ways to approach these situations or issues or whatever you want to call them in life. Because life, there's a set of issues that you have to go through. There's a set of questions you're going to have to answer.
For sure.
And there's different ways to go about getting those answered and to go about operating in life. And being exposed to that at a young age was very beneficial, especially living in the same place my whole life. And so, the organization was really birthed out of, I would say, all of our opportunities to be able to travel the world, to be able to experience these different cultures, and the desire to provide that to other young adults.
For sure.
Because I know I'm not the only one, but I heard so much throughout college. People say, oh, I've always wanted to go on a mission trip, whenever I was sharing my stories of a mission trip, or, oh, I've always wanted to travel the world, but, I couldn't because of this or that. And I think God just and us just really grew the desire to just break those barriers down, to provide those opportunities to people and pretty much remove any excuse that they could give to.
I feel like financially too, a lot of that's usually one of the biggest, if not the main factor for a lot of people wanting to travel and go go on abroad or mission trips abroad. I feel like that's and being able to have the opportunity to help relieve that. That's a good opportunity itself to be a part of that.
And us like going through the process of getting 501c3 status and everything that takes with the IRS, because they do not move fast.
No.
Getting all of that approved.
They're in no hurry.
Getting all that approved to really be able to utilize the organization as a tool for the people that are in our community that we've heard that feedback from, or people in the future that we become networked with, to be able for donors to make tax deductible donations to our cause, and then us potentially being able to make a scholarship like towards these individuals for whatever mission trips they want to, even if it's mission trips outside of Perspectives. Like it all really relates to just really wanting to get people these opportunities that we've had.
I mean, I think that's because I can relate to Grayson so much. I remember in college, I had the opportunity to, I was supposed to go on a mission trip to India. Where, finances was a really big thing that kind of prevented me from being able to go. And that's a lot of people's story, kind of like you mentioned, not being able to proceed because, sometimes it can be a lot, especially if you're in college and high school. Where am I going to come up with the money to be able to, afford a mission trip?
Absolutely.
You have the desire to go do good, but the provision is not really there. So having an organization like this that can help people, I feel like that's really key. I feel like that's really important. And I know we keep saying perspective over and over and over again, not just because of the fact that it's the name of the organization, but I think it's really important for that to really, if there's anything that we get from this, it's really that. Because if I'm able to get someone else's perspective about their life, their journey, and all these different things, I'm able to understand them better.
Exactly.
Right. So I think through going through mission trips, I've had a lot of friends come back and talk about how their worldview has changed completely. Exactly. Why? Because something has changed.
Absolutely.
Right? Something has changed, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
As people, kind of like you said, you had the opportunity to go to France while you were still in school with your dad and all these different things, and that kind of helped you out, growing up. And I mean, I think that's great, and a lot of people don't get that opportunity.
Exactly. And so being able to just provide the opportunity to as many people as possible to grow their perspective. And perspective is such a key thing. Like there's a lot of meaning behind why, as an organization, we chose the word perspective. And like I know one of the reasons is it's really the lens that we view the world through. Not just our life in terms of how we approach different situations, but also just how we view different things, how we value different things, and being able to change someone's perspective is much more than just changing like a specific situation in someone's life or changing their thought about just one thing, but changing their perspective as a whole changes how they operate their whole life and all of their decisions.
Yeah.
And every person that they encounter from that point. And so being able to change it from an outlook standpoint of how they look at the world has such an impact.
Yeah, I mean, it's, even though we have, I mean, with the use of social media, I feel like it's easier for us to gauge into other cultures and see how different people live and stuff like that. I know, and this is a side story, but I know Snapchat had created that little feature where you're able to click and see where people in
the location.
Yeah, the location.
Yeah.
And it was just so much different. I remember one time I was on it and I clicked, I forgot where I clicked, but it was some country in Africa. And it just brought back so much memories because I was able to view, someone's story who was in Africa. And it's through the use of social media. Like I said, we're able to see different cultures and just even in our generation through music. Music is such a big thing that allows us to connect across many different
absolutely
boundaries and lifestyles and things like that. Foods.
Definitely.
Food is such a big thing that allows us all to connect. I would think so. Especially like I said, coming to America, being in a culture where you're able to try Mexican food or Chinese food and all these different things.
I'm getting hungry. You're talking about
not having that, not having those options where I was from, but here I'm able to do that, and I think that's great.
Exactly. Like having that opportunity is something to be grateful for.
For sure.
And being able to participate in that provides such growth. And I think that's why for a long time, like our country was something that really, really developed was because of that diversity of perspective and the diversity of ideas. And it's something where, like wherever you have that present, as long as there's an underlying system of values that are agreed upon,
right?
The method on how you get after those values, like it has the society flourishes in such great ways, and all the people in the society really benefit from that. And so it's it's exciting to be able to strive to allow people to see those other cultures and other perspectives.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really hope just hearing some of those explanations kind of is stirring everybody up, making it exciting for you. Like, wow, these guys are really wanting to do something different. I think just hearing Chase and Grayson talk, I'm over here getting encouraged, because I know we have a couple mission trips that we're going to be discussing at some point, wanting to do as an organization.
Yeah,
I think that would be so awesome because ever since I've been in America, I haven't left.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be able to leave and to continue to grow as a person, and like Chase just said, getting those new ideas. So what I guess if someone was to say, so what would you say the mission is then?
Yeah.
Like how do we describe the mission of a perspective?
Yeah, I think one of the things that a kind of quick sentence that we had thought of a few months ago that really sums it up well is just seeking to provide a more complete and unified mission trip experience. It's something where that just hits on a lot of the things that God's really put on our heart in terms of just providing the experiences in general, as well. All of us in the organization have had involvement in other cultures and traveling or mission trips, and it's something where we've all in our experience seen different areas where the current typical American mission trip experience can really be improved, whether that's content or components during the trip or before the trip or after the trip. And so really using our experiences and the connections with other people to be able to create this more complete experience, but as well with the unity part is something where we really feel in the church today and just missions as a whole, and our desire to go serve the world is something where there's not really much strategic thought behind that across the church as a whole. Certainly within specific churches, there's a lot of budgeting, a lot of thought that goes behind it, and a lot of communication internally. But across the church body as a whole, there's not really a ton of communication. And it was something where I was down I go down to Costa Rica every May on a mission trip with one of the churches that I attend, and came back, and a couple months later was at a friend's wedding and met a guy who has his own ministry, Modern Day Mission, and let him know that I'd just kind of come back from Costa Rica. And he was like, "Oh, really? Like, what city do you go to?" I told him San Jose. We served there for the whole week. And he was like, "No way! Like, we have a couple missionaries down in San Jose. Like, if you'd want to connect with them, like, that's definitely something I would love to hook up." And I'm just sitting here, just like, I just spent a week down in San Jose, right, and didn't even know that they were there. Yeah. Like, how can we bridge this gap? And so, being able to utilize the network that God's given us through the various churches that we're connected with, through our normal jobs, and the people we've been able to meet through that, and just our experiences growing up. Is something where we can really utilize those networks to provide the church with just hopefully more unity in how we reach the world, and causing there to be more effectiveness in all the trips and missions that we're doing.
For sure. So I guess then someone could ask, what are some of the foundational things as an organization that we believe in?
Well, I would say we kind of have a bunch of different Bible verses and things like that we kind of base our foundation in as far as building this organization together. And so I can kind of run through a couple, and then I'll let Chase say a couple as well. And then
that would be good.
Can maybe talk about a few of them, maybe digest some of the verses. But I'll start from the top. The first one's Matthew 28, verse 16 through 20. It says, "We believe in God's ability to work and speak through travel and storytelling, evangelism, discipleship, and conversation." So,
and that's really just what we draw out from those verses.
Exactly, and just having that, being able to tell the different stories and see the different, have those different conversations with people, and really grow spiritually because of what we see in other people's lives, and just a mutual growing and things like that.
And being able to have conversations with the people while we're traveling, or as well, just like what we're doing here, trying to have a conversation to just grow our perspective. Like Josue, you have a different perspective on how to approach life than I do, and I can learn from that. Grayson, same with you. And so definitely conversation is something that is consistent throughout all areas of life, but especially whenever you're traveling, being able to just love on people, hear their stories, talk from them, like God can really work through that.
Yeah, and kind of leading on down to that, another one that we have is Acts 2, verse 42 through 47, and that says, "We believe in unity among believers and generosity." So essentially, what I take away from that is, we believe in the mission that we want to connect and unify with other people around the world, and then also here at home, and being able to provide that, because we're so blessed with our resources and our jobs and current places that we're at now, and being able to just really, blessing God or blessing others with what God's blessed us with, and really be able to share that. I think that's kind of what that Bible verse means to me.
And I can even say another one, for example, Matthew 16:24-26. And just our thoughts on that is we believe living for Christ and being on a mission is a lifestyle and a sacrifice, not a hobby. I heard a pastor say that Christianity is a full contact sport. It's something that we're in it.
Yeah.
I know sometimes it's easy for us to take the perspective of looking at other people that we feel like they're on fire for God. That word we use a lot in the church. We feel like people are on fire for God, and we may not be there. So we're going to take a step back and kind of cheer them on.
Coast.
Right, kind of coast and cheer them on, even though I feel like God calls every single one of us to be in the game. If we want to talk about sports, we're all called to be in the game. We're not cheerleaders, right? We're able to encourage each other, right? During a competition, you're able to encourage your teammates, but no one's on the bench. We're all within the sport, running our races,
Absolutely.
playing basketball, whichever analogy we want to use. But we're all within this race, running our race. And I think that really speaks to that.
And it's something where, I think it speaks to life. In a broader sense, is like this has to be something where we're all in. It's something where, Jesus says, he's going to spit the lukewarm out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And it's something where, for Jesus, it's not acceptable to be half in, half out, to be half committed. And it's something, it's an approach that we should take towards life as well. This isn't something where life should be, we're just kind of half into it.
For sure.
Yes. We have heaven after this, but, in terms of this life to make an impact on this earth, we only have one opportunity to do this. And any minute that you sit there and are not intentional about and are wasting it, is not something that God intended. And yes, God meant for there to be rest.
For sure.
For sure. And God meant for there to be restoration. But it's something where if it's all just with Him in focus, and being intentional about pursuing our Father, and it's something where we to get the most out of life, you can't do it halfway. It's something where in terms of a physical sense, this life is going to kill us from a physical sense. And so this is something where the urgency is there. This game or whatever you want to call life is something where we're all in, and you have to really approach it with the proper amount of focus that it deserves.
Yeah. No, I heard who even said this. I heard this this preacher said that we have this moment of time that doesn't even show up in eternity.
Yeah.
Right? Our lives doesn't even show up in eternity, just however long you end up being here. But it is so important for eternity.
Exactly.
And that's just a great idea to just something to keep in the back of our minds to help us really run and to run well. I love how it talks about David. In the Bible, it says that he accomplished everything that he needed in his generation.
Yeah. So true.
And then after that, he went to be with God, and I was like, man, I want that testimony in my own life.
Exactly.
To be someone who accomplished everything that God had placed me here to accomplish.
Yeah.
I think that's really powerful for us to be able to run in that kind of way. I was reading a devotional. Well, my friend actually sent it to me. I didn't read it. and it basically said, what did it say? It talked about how that person, whoever wrote the devotional, was talking about how they wanted to make sure that when they leave Earth, that they were on E, that their gas tank was on E, that they didn't leave anything behind. And I was like, man, that's really powerful.
Strong.
That's really strong. And kind of like Chase was talking about, it's easy to coast. It's easy to, I mean, we understand it's not every day that we feel like I want to run super hard. I want to, we're talking about this race. It's not every day we feel that endurance, but we don't want to have, a year of where we're just not doing nothing. We're being ineffective,
Kind of brings me talking about all that. Just one of my grandfather's favorite Bible verse, and it was actually on his tombstone. Is 2 Timothy 4:7. When it says, "For I have fought the good fight, and I have finished the race. I have kept my faith." So it's kind of one of those things. Going back to what you're saying, when we leave this earth, we want to make sure that we're on E. We've given everything that we have to give, that we've been blessed with, and things. So.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
fight the good fight.
Yeah, fight the good fight.
So
fight the good fight.
Yeah. So for one of the next verses that we kind of try to build the foundation of our organization on, it's Luke 13:29-30. And one of the things that we kind of draw from that verse is we believe all cultures and nations display different and unique characteristics of our Creator. And it's something where like we've hit on that a number of times already. But it's something where, like, for me, for instance, and the opportunities I've had to travel over to Europe, one of the things that I really draw from that culture is just the beauty that's in life. Like this, despite the struggle in life, there's a lot of beautiful things,
right? And
there's a lot of things to be grateful for, whether it's beautiful cathedrals, or whether it's just beautiful streets, beautiful just scenes, Swiss Alps, all of that. And like one of the things from Latin cultures that I've drawn is to not get yourself caught up in this loop of constantly trying to do things, which is something that I'm still really trying to instill in my life. But it's something where they're willing to take life at the proper pace and live unhurried, resulting them in being able to focus on their families, being able to focus on proper other things. And like in Asian cultures, one of the things that I've learned is respect, respecting other people, giving proper honor to the Lord. And so there's a number of different things, like in my instance, of being able to draw out these different characteristics of the Lord and different things that we need to strive for, that each of them really highlight really well.
All of that really speaks to me about how we have so many different cultures and languages and tongues and all these things, but we all still worship one God. In a sense, it's, heaven. Want to get there one day and just see people like, where are you from? What language did you guys speak where you're from? And I think that's beautiful that God just, from the very beginning, he had this global perspective. Exactly. It wasn't just something that was for the Jews specifically, but it was for the whole entire world. And now we're a part of that because of Jesus. It just brought us all in, through that adoption that it talks about in Scripture a lot. And I think that's just awesome,
Absolutely.
To one day go to heaven and just. So, for example, in Acts 2, I'm not going to preach or anything, but in Acts 2, it talks about when the Holy Spirit fell and everyone started speaking in different tongues. Yeah. And the people that were there, they marveled because they were like, these are uneducated people. How is it that we understand them in our own tongue?
Yeah.
And it just speaks to how, God just communicates to everybody differently.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, I don't know. To me, that gets me really excited. That gets me really pumped up because I love culture. I love people.
Yeah. And going off of that, something that was I don't know if analogy or illustration is the proper word, but it was something, God gave me this thought a couple years ago, where everything pure on this earth is a reflection of him. And in each cultures, there's different things that are pure there. Yeah. Like I said, whether it's the respect Asian cultures have, the pace Latin cultures have, or whether it is the beauty that European cultures show. and it's something to where each of those pure characteristics that those cultures show, all reflect God. And so it's something where to try to get this as full of a picture as we can of our Creator here on Earth. It's something where being able to travel around to these different cultures is so key, and it's something that will just benefit us in our relationship with the Lord. And so, Grayson, would you want to talk about the next verse that we have on the list?
Yeah. The next one is Proverbs 18:13. And it says, "We believe in listening to the needs of people instead of accomplishing our own agenda." So, kind of what my takeaway from that is that, I mean, just kind of like it says, just putting others before yourself. And there's a lot of different needs throughout the world, whether it be, food on the table. There's just different things. It even spiritually needs, there's just all kinds of needs out there. And I think part of our duty on this earth is to be able to share what we have with, kind of goes back to the beginning, sharing what we have, that what God's blessed us with. And just constantly reminding ourselves to just really be a person that others can lean on, and to help lift up, and even vice versa when we need spiritual guidance and things, encouragement, things like that. Just having other people in your life to do that. And then also just and to the second part of it, and kind of put that before ourselves, because everyone has their own agenda in this world, but you kind of got to really remind yourself sometime that it's really all about just giving the control over to God and let Him guide your life, and instead of just accomplishing what you want to do.
Exactly.
Basically.
And it's something to really be able to care for people, and to be in relationship and friendship with people. And I mean, it's getting down to the true definition of love. It's something where you have to put them in front of yourself. I mean, love in the simplest form is the action of putting someone in front of yourself. And so it's something where, whether it's with our local partners or whether it's with our international partners, it's something where we know in order to serve these people correctly, we have to put their needs in front of ourselves. And the first part of knowing what their needs are is listening to them. One of the issues that we see a lot with mission trips is from Americans is trying to go in there and Americanize that culture and that country. And it's something to where we think we know the needs that that community, that culture has, but it's something where that could possibly be a detriment. They could have found other ways to operate and answer the questions that we have to encounter in life.
Yeah.
And so being able to listen to them, to not overstep our bounds, and then equip them as a culture to be sustainable in how they're operating is so key.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, it's like the goal isn't to go there and then make another nation Americanized or something. You present the gospel, you give people Jesus, and they conform to that image.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I think kind of like you're saying, that's people have their needs. They do things a lot differently than people may do in America. And I mean, I think that's important, to be able to give people Jesus and not just go there to Americanize something, for example, kind of like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. So I think we could just go through these next couple verses.
Yeah.
Just kind of go through them and just kind of talk about what we draw from them. The next couple is Galatians 6:9 through 10. Kind of the main summary we draw from that is we just believe in waiting on the Lord and assisting other ministries in their long-term calling, which speaks towards like our local partners and international partners. And then Galatians 5:1, we believe our allegiance is to God alone, and God gives us a freedom to live for His glory alone. And so it's something to where so many times in our culture, patriotism is great and is beneficial in so many ways. But at the same time, as believers, we need our allegiance just to be to the kingdom first. And
you say that again, yeah,
and that allows our approach to these other cultures to be a humble approach,
right?
And so it's something that's necessary, because then again, if we're more if our allegiance is more to our country than the kingdom, then we could fall possibly to Americanizing.
I think kind of like that. That's a really great point that you just made. It's about the kingdom. So we're able to give people the kingdom of God, and from there they don't have to worry about conforming to one specific culture. They could take the kingdom into their culture, and the people can be transformed from there. And I mean, just all these different verses. I mean, there's more. The Bible is just so rich with different things, and these are just some of the ones that we picked out to really kind of explain some key points that are foundational for the organization. And hopefully, in sharing those key verses, they bring some insight. Or even just some revelation of it being, man, I didn't really think about that, how I can go on a mission trip and maybe my mindset could be to try to conform people to an American culture, whereas the goal is to give them kingdom culture. So just hoping little things like that are really highlighted through just discussing these verses and some of the foundational things that we do believe in.
And that's exactly right. Like, these are things that we feel God's called us to come back as kind of landmarks on how to operate this organization. I know many times in life I get so caught up with wanting to do something that I get so caught up in doing it that I forget why I'm doing it, and I forget that foundation. And so many times
I feel like every single one in here can attest to that.
I can relate to that.
And so it's something where we could so easily just stray from the central purpose of why we're doing this. And so laying these out as verses of accountability for us is something that will really benefit us in the long term.
Absolutely.
No, I mean, I can, like, we were just laughing, but like you said, every single one can relate to that. I mean, that's very true. I mean, this was kind of how the podcast will be going, the different ones. This is our very first one, so hopefully you can kind of tell the nerves in our voices a little bit. I think the nerves make it more authentic. So, we're not robotic or anything like that. We're people. We want to be able to share perspective and also know that we're learning through this whole process. I think, the next time we bring out the our podcast, we'll talk about the different programs that we have, the philosophies behind the programs.
We can talk about past trips that we've been on. To really open up about some of the experiences that God shared with us, why we've been on different missions and things like that.
Exactly. And as well, on the next one, we're going to talk about just kind of the purpose of this podcast. This one was really just a kind of intro to the organization, for y'all to know just the calling we feel that has been put on our lives. And this next one is to really just to keep us accountable to the purpose of the podcast. But as well for y'all to be able to keep us accountable. It's something where we really need encouragement and accountability from outside the organization, and outside perspectives. We can't have a limited number of perspectives, 4 perspectives. And so hitting on that as well, to be able to articulate what we're hoping to be able to get from this. And so as well, like, we got a couple other events coming up, like this coming Saturday we have a Congolese
Congolese, there it goes.
Congolese dinner for our boy Josue, where his family is going to get up and just kind of share their story of living in the Congo, and being able to grow our perspectives through that.
And I know there's one thing that we did kind of, I don't know if we mentioned this or not, but one of the big things too that we hope to provide is, not only missions abroad, but when you come back from missions, going back to talking about staying on fire and just one of those things. It's sometimes when you go, it's hard. When you come back, it's hard to stay engaged and to really keep that lifestyle going. And so one of the things that we also are providing and want to provide is a lot of opportunities to volunteer around the community and just kind of help out. We're partnering with a few different children's homes and Habitat for Humanity, and who else? There's so many different opportunities that we also want to help provide, not only abroad but here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, down in Austin, and throughout the state of Texas. Because not only you look across the street, there's a need somewhere you don't have to go abroad to find somebody in need. So that's one thing that we also are focusing on as far as our mission.
Exactly, and then. Coming up here in a couple weeks as well, me and Josue independently, we have opportunity to go over to China. I'll be traveling to Beijing, and Josue will be over in Shanghai, which is really exciting.
That'll be awesome. Really exciting.
But so we're gonna have a podcast just talking about our experiences with that. And so a lot of things coming up here on the podcast.
No, that's I'm really looking forward to going to China. Like I said, I've been here for 17 years now, and it's going to be my first time actually leaving.
First time out of the country since you've been back.
First time out of the country, looking at what's the ocean that's between
Pacific
there. Yeah, that was a joke, guys. I knew which one it was. Those were grins and giggles.
As you're Googling it on your phone right now.
I Googled it on my phone. I Googled it. But no, so that's going to be fun. Like Chase said, when we come back, we'll be able to have another podcast, just kind of talk about our experiences while we were there. But we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. We hope that you enjoyed it and your perspective on some of the topics we discussed grew while just listening to us discuss it. And the beautiful thing about this is we'll have different people come in.
Yeah.
So you won't just be hearing from the three of us. You'll be hearing from different people with different perspective, if I might say again, from different walks of life and just
different countries,
and
if y'all have any questions or anything like that, feel free to send us a message. And if there's a certain topic or anything that you want us to talk about or really, kind of get our perspective on, if you have some questions, feel free to send us a message on social media, send us an email, anything like that. And we would be happy to answer any questions that y'all might have.
Yeah, and so you can just email us at info@perspectivesww.org. As well, you can find more information about us on our website, perspectivesworldwide.org. And as we said, we're just here to learn and get better, and your comments really do just allow for that. All of our social media and all of our information will be linked down below. And so go give us a like on Facebook or a follow on IG. It'd be much appreciated. And so that's
Twitter too. We got to get our Twitter.
Yeah, we got to get on Twitter.
Got to figure that out, man. But yeah, so
one step at a time.
Yeah, we'll get
exactly. There. So that'll be it for today, guys. We encourage y'all to just go serve people and go change your perspective. And much love.
Much love. Appreciate it.